What's up and welcome. This is a Vinyasa class targeting the shoulders primarily, but we're also going to get into the neck and showcase some of the intricate connections between the neck and the shoulders. You're going to want 2 blocks and a bolster. I'm using one of these thinner Manduka bolsters for this sequence, but all good if you have a bigger round one. That's absolutely fine. There'll be some differences and I'll cue those differences when we get to that part of the sequence. So grab your equipment and lie down on your back. Bring your bolster with you, bring your blocks with you. And first put a block in between your feet, the wide way. And then once you get that, put the feet back down onto the floor. And put the other block in between your thighs, the long way, going up and down and the narrow way. And then grab your bolster. Hold it with your arms stretched out above you towards the ceiling with your palms facing up. So you're holding the bolster with your hands like a shelf, palms up. And then keep the blocks where they are. You're going to keep them in between your feet and thighs. And lift your feet off the floor so you bring the blocks with you. And then press the bolster away from you as much as you can without letting your head come off the floor. I think of reaching the bolster up with my elbows and my shoulder blades. So you're working shoulder protraction that way. Keep that and scoop your tailbone quite strongly. Squeeze both the blocks and start to take some strong exhales out your mouth. Purse your lips and imagine you're blowing up a balloon or blowing out birthday candles and feel the connection to your abdominal region when you exhale. When you breathe in, inhale slowly through your nose. And try to fill up your back when you breathe in. And just do that a few times, exhaling strongly out your mouth. Make some noise with your exhales. So I said do it a few times, but really you can breathe like that the whole way through this exercise. Strong exhales out the mouth. Don't worry about timing the breath or anything like that, but start to bring your arms back behind you into shoulder flexion, and you're going to try really hard not to let your ribs pop out. So we're making this really distinct connection today between shoulder flexion and spinal extension. We don't want to do spinal extension today at all, really. So go back and forth, go up and back, in and out of shoulder flexion. And as much as your arms are moving, try really hard to concentrate primarily on your torso. Is your low back coming off the floor? And are your ribs popping out? So it helps to do all the things that we cued 2 seconds ago. Tucking the tailbone, exhaling strongly, and squeezing the blocks. The next time that you go up and the bolster is up above your face, do a sit-up, so lift your head and lift your shoulders. Keep your tail tucked and bring your arms back behind you, and the arms don't have to go very far for this to be really challenging. And go back up. We're going to do 3 total with the head and the shoulders off the ground, which makes it much harder physically, but mechanically you're probably doing a better job of avoiding the extension in your spine as the arms go back. It's very hard. Next time the arms go up, just stay up for a second. Keep the knees bent and slowly return the bottoms of your feet back down to the floor. And then bring your head down to the ground as well. Find your feet. Push your big toe mounds into the floor. Find your inner heels and feel like you're trying to drag your heels back without letting them slip along your yoga mat. Squeeze the blocks. Press that bolster up, so keep that rounding of your outer shoulders off the floor, protraction if you know that word. And then you're going to tuck your tailbone really strongly until your butt comes off the floor and you're still dragging your heels back. It's kind of the main action, I would say. And then you're just going to go down and up a few times, and you're trying to maintain a rounded back like a cat spine. The whole time you're punching that bolster away from you as you go up and down. Your heels, especially your inner heels, are dug into the floor and dragging back. And I find the higher I go up with my pelvis here, the more I extend my spine. So I only go up a couple inches and really tuck my tail and make sure I'm still rounded. You can also exhale really strongly out your mouth still, because that engages your core and it stops you from extending your spine. The next time that you go up with your butt, pause, lower your bum just a little bit, and tuck your tailbone a lot more. And then punch the bolster up more, because I know I keep on forgetting, so maybe you are too. And drag your heels back more even. And then just tuck your tailbone and tuck it more. So you're doing these little pulses. Tuck your tailbone, tuck more, tuck your tailbone, tuck more. Whew, little end range hip thrusts. And then come on down and put the bolster onto your stomach. Keep the block that's in between your legs, but widen your feet off to the side. So you kind of knock your knees in. Just let your arms rest. Even let your eyes rest maybe. And start to load the belly with your inhales. So think of trying to move the bolster with your inhalation. And feel that expansion in your tummy area. And so all those muscles, the transversus abdominis and the obliques, can kind of stretch from the inhalation after being contracted. Okay, and then just wiggle your feet back to that block. Find your inner ankles against the block. Keep that, grab the bolster again, and set up the exact same way as we did before. Holding the bolster up above you between the ceiling and you. Your palms are facing up, supporting the bolster. Then float your feet up, bring the blocks with you. Squeeze the blocks, tuck your tail, press the bolster away from you. Do all those things that give you abs. Strong exhales give you abs too, don't forget it. And then you're going to keep your knees bent and lower your legs in the direction of the floor. Don't let your low back come off the ground. So it doesn't matter how far your legs go forward, and then you come back up. And then you're just repeating that a few times. The more your legs lower, the more you should squeeze the block and tuck your tail and push that bolster up. And if I was cueing the breath, I would exhale on the way down with the legs. So challenging. Next time the legs come up, do a sit-up. Lift your head and your shoulders off the ground. Give yourself an extra press with the bolster, a squeeze with the blocks, a tuck of the tail, and 3 times you're going to lower your bent knees in the direction of the floor. You're going to bring them back up. Lower your legs towards the floor. Whew. Maybe you tap the floor with your heels. Maybe you don't. I'm not. One more time. Lower. And then come on back up. Now stay up with your head and your shoulders and just bring your feet onto the floor. It's kind of safer for your back when you do that. And slowly come down back onto your head. Okay, same. Push the bolster away from you. Scoop your tailbone very strongly. Squeeze the blocks. Now find your left heel. Press down into your left heel very well. And without letting your foot slip, drag your left heel back a lot. So you feel all the energy in the back of your left leg. You're going to keep that. Keep your right foot very light and do a bridge. So lift your hips up. Keep your tail scoop, scoop, scoop. And then slowly come down. You're going to do that a few times on your own. Scooping the tail to lift the butt up. No weight in the right foot. I'm not lifting it. I think it just kind of makes more sense to keep it on the ground, but there's certainly no weight there. And I always have to remind myself to drag the inner left heel back a lot before I go up. It makes a huge difference. Next time your butt lands, you just switch legs. So put all the energy in your right heel. Drag your right heel back. Don't lose that as you scoop the tail and lift up into a bridge. And go back down. Remind yourself every now and again, just continue going, to push the bolster away from you to find protraction, to keep the tail tucked, And remember those exhales and how powerful they are to engage the abs. Let's do one more. Okay, next time your butt lifts, bring the blocks with you. We're going to do one more ab thing. Lift your feet up, no break. Push the bolster away from you. Scoop the tail. Squeeze the blocks. Do a sit up. Lift your head up. Bring your legs forward and your arms back. Bring yourself back up. Legs forward, arms back. Keep your low back on the floor for dear life. Come on back up. Let's do two more. Forward with the legs, back with the arms. Maybe keep your chin tucked so you're kind of out of your neck. One last time. Come on back up. Okay, take your feet to the floor. Move the bolster off to the side, but keep it close. And then just grab those blocks and put them onto the floor next to your face, but way off to the side, like quite a bit off to the side, just so they're out of the way. And then take your bolster sideways underneath your back. So your bum is not going to be on the bolster. Your bum's going to be hanging off the bolster. And then just roll over onto your right side. And you can make a little pillow out of your right arm. And then take your knees in, so you're kind of in this fetal position, and take your left hand to your left rib cage. And we're just going to breathe here a little bit. Put a little scoop in your tailbone. And feel like your left side, your outer left ribs, are bowing up into your hand. So think of moving your right side away from the bolster, even though it's supporting you, and move your left ribs where you're holding up into your hands. And keep that little tuck of your tailbone, and start to take a long, slow, drawn-out inhale. And try to feel the expansion of air happen on the left side of your torso here. And then do a nice, strong exhale. We're just going to do that a few times, feeling air pressure in our left side. Increase as we breathe in. And decrease as we breathe out. And just do it a couple more times. Exaggerate the inhale. Feel your intercostal muscles kind of expanding and the ribs separating apart. And then when you breathe out, all that kind of contracts in. Do one more big, expansive inhale. Don't worry if you're breathing at the same pace as me. Okay, let's do it on the other side. Just roll over onto your left side. Make a little arm pillow out of your left arm, bicep area. Knees come in, so you're in a fetal position, and then the right hand goes on the outer rib cage. My thumb is like almost behind me on my back, or I guess it is. Give yourself a little scoop of your tailbone, and feel already that you're pressing your ribs up into that top hand that's holding the rib cage. And then inhale into your hand. Air pressure expands. And exhale nice and strongly. And feel all those ribs and the muscles on the side of your body kind of contract and compact back in. And just repeat that on your own. Nice, long, big inhales. Big, strong exhales. Couple more times. It just feels good to do that. Let's roll over onto our tummy and put your rib cage, now it's the front of your ribs, on the bolster. And what this does is it gives you some flexion in your thoracic spine, which is a great thing. And it will help you inform where the breath is going. Make a little hand pillow. So stack one hand on top of the other and put your forehead on your stacked hands. And again, you give yourself a little tuck of your tail, but not to the point where you feel your butt muscles clench. And then, again, through the nose, inhale. Try to feel air pressure expand behind you now into your upper back. And exhale. And breathe in. Breathe out. And do it a couple more times. Okay, grab those blocks and put your hands on the blocks and take your arms off to the side like a T and maybe slide the blocks forward a little bit. Like if you were standing, they would be a little higher than your shoulders. Keep the left block where it is and slide the right block closer to you so your elbow is forced to bend. And then just roll over to your left side a little bit. You could step your right foot back behind you if you wanted to, but you could also just curl your knees into your chest if that's not too, if it is too much, that first variation. And then if you could, slide the block that's in your underneath your left hand a little further off to the left. Let your head rest to the floor. And then elevate your left shoulder head away from the ground. And if it's not too much on your pec and your arm, extend your left wrist. So peel your left palm away from the block and let your kind of wrist and forearm rest on the block. So point your left fingertips to the ceiling and pull the back of your hand towards your skull. And feel a nice big stretch, especially elevated on the block like that. Wrist extension, notice how the wrist and you making that action there is coordinating or transferring, I should say, a big stretch to your shoulder. It increases the sensation of stretch on your left shoulder head and probably the bicep. And then place the palm back down onto the block, roll over onto your tummy, and stretch your right arm off to the right and slide the block that's in your left hand closer to you so the left elbow bends. And then roll over onto your right side. I find I don't even really need to roll over to my side too much, but you do you. Let your head hang or go to the floor if you can. And then stretch the right arm further back. Lift your right shoulder head away from the ground. And extend your right wrist if it feels good in your body. So the right fingertips point up and you peeled your palm off the block. Okay, roll over onto your stomach and put the blocks on the floor just next to your yoga mat. And then place your hands onto the bolster. And your fingers could even be like on the floor, but your palms are on the bolster. And put your forehead on the floor for a sec. And then anchor your pubis into the ground. Lift your shoulder heads up away from the floor. And come into a low cobra by getting long. Pull your head forward and pull your chest forward. And then hover your hands off the bolster and reach your arms back behind you. Then bring your head back down onto the floor. Keep your arms up and reach them up as high as you can. Like really search for space up with your outer arms or the back of your arms. And then start to pull your palms towards each other as strongly as you can. So imagine you had like a block in between your palms or something, and keep that pressure of pulling your arms towards each other as much as you can, and lift your arms a little bit higher as much as you can. Just going to do that one more time. Squeeze an imaginary block, bring your palms closer together, and then reach your arms up even more. And I hope that you can feel your triceps. And then extend your wrists so the palms face down, bend your elbows, and place your hands back down onto that bolster. And then press yourself up into a tabletop. And you can walk your knees forward if you want to. You can get rid of the bolster, just move it off to the side. We're going to use it in a second, but you can get rid of it for now. And walk your hands over to the right a bit. So you're kind of in this side stretchy tabletop. Come onto your left fingertips and walk your left fingertips towards 1 o'clock, let's say. And then lean your ribs to the left and wag your tail to the right. And feel your right abdominal half get more contracted. Then let your head bob down towards the floor. Scoop your tailbone really strongly. And keep your left fingertips pinned into the floor. Don't let them slip, but move your hips back in the direction of child's pose. Whatever you got to do with your right arm, it's all good. You can let the elbow bend. You could go onto the fingertips there. It doesn't really matter. But while you're here, just for a second, could you reach the left fingertips even more forward and move your butt even further back? So the left outer hip is moving back as the arm reaches as far forward as you can get it. And then we're just going to go forward again like that into like this weird tabletop thing, and then back and towards the direction of child's pose. Getting a nice big stretch on your left side. And just go back and forth like this. One thing that I'm finding is if I just keep going, if I turn my chest to the right a little bit and let my head even kind of rest into like the cradle of my arm, I just get a different stretch. So if the heart turns to the right and the hip goes back, I feel that more in my lat. It actually feels kind of better for me. And try it out. Just a few stretches like this. Ooh, it's substantial. Okay, come back to tabletop. I hope you felt that. And you're going to walk your tabletop over to the left a bit, just with your hands. So the right fingertips are kind of pointing towards 11. Come on to your right fingertips and walk the right fingertips forward as far as they go. Then lean your ribs to the right, just like we were doing on our side with the breath, and wag your tail to the left. Then let your head hang and round your back actively like a cat. Keep your right fingertips cemented into the floor and start to bring your hips back in the direction of child's pose, but obviously you're not going to get all the way back there. Do what you got to do with that left hand, whatever's comfy. And then go forward into this tabletop variation. Try and keep the side stretch and go back with your hips. Back and forth, kind of tick-tocking into tabletop, child's pose, side stretchy thing. Ooh. Try a few with your chest turned to the left and your head just kind of bowing into your right arm as you go back. And one of the keys is to keep leaning into your right rib cage. And keep steering your butt over to the left, especially as you go back. Okay, let's sit down on our shins, and I'm going to take the bolster underneath my butt, so in between the heels and the butt. And then just reach your arms off to the side and extend your wrists. And really extend your wrists. Like pull the back of your hands towards your ears as much as you can. And then keep that and move your arms apart as wide as you can get. So think of the wrists pulling apart as much as you can, the elbows pulling apart as much as you can, and pull your shoulders apart as much as you can. So feel a stretch in your chest. I hope that you can. And then tilt your head over to the right. And now stretch your left arm more than your right arm. So really focus on the left palm, trying to touch the wall off to your left. Oh. And notice as you bob your head to the right side, you can feel it in your left pec and in your left bicep. Let's bring the head back up to center and just bob the head over to the left. And then you're reaching your right palm further to the right. Really relax your head. Think of the right wrist, elbow, and shoulder head trying to traction out of the chest. Oh, bring your head back to center, and then just take your hands down for a second or your arms down for a moment. Okay, we're going to do some shoulder cars, glenohumeral joint shoulder cars. We're going to do them both at once. So take your arms out in front of you with your palms facing up. Heavy your tailbone down and feel your ribs, the front ribs come down too. And maybe even take a big, strong exhale. Feel your abs turn on and really try and keep your ribs down for this. No movement of the back like we were saying before. Start to bring your arms up into the air in deflection. Only go as far up there as you can while keeping your ribs down. Bring your armpits away from each other. So think of spinning your inner arms, your inner biceps forward as much as you can. And then keep that and increase that as you start to reach your arms back behind you. Watch your rib cage. Watch what your neck is doing. So you're spinning your biceps down more and more and more and more and more. And maybe you're going to touch the bolster if you have it, or the floor, whatever comes first behind you. Pause there for a second. Your palms should be facing out. Reach your arms back behind you. Watch what your ribs are doing. And just like you did 2 seconds ago on your front, pull the back of your hands towards each other as much as you can. So really squeeze your arms together and keep your arms squeezing together and reach your arms further up. Let's do it one more time. Squeeze the arms closer together and keep them squeezing together and reach them back up. Whew. Okay, now stay back there. I hope you feel your triceps. Turn your armpits away from each other so the biceps turn up. Watch your rib cage as you reach your arms back behind you and up towards the ceiling and out in front of you again. Okay. Get rid of the bolster and come into a down dog. Put a little bend in your knees in your down dog, and you'll come forward into a plank. And in plank, you're going to bend your knees quite a bit. Steer your knees over to the left, but keep your heels off the floor. So your heels are kind of off the ground, the toes are pointing to the left. Push your hands away from you. Keep the knees bent and then press your bum back into a down dog. We'll call this accordion down dog with the knees off to the side and the toes pointing off to the side as well. And get that side stretch. Hips wag right, left arm is almost like reaching forward. And then come forward into a plank again, regular plank. This time turn your 10 toes to the right, your knees to the right. Push your hands away from you and press yourself back into a down dog. An accordion down dog, we'll call it. Knees are still right. Oh, lean the ribs to the right side. Move your butt to the left. Okay, come forward into plank. This time bring your right knee into your chest and round your spine. Come into a down dog split, lift the right leg up, and then step forward to your right thumb tip and bring your back knee down onto the floor. Let your head bob and hang and slowly roll yourself up. Reach your arms forward, Anjaneyasana, bring your arms above your head. Then grab your left wrist with your right hand and side bend over to the right side of the room. Let your head hang. Pull your wrist forward a little bit, like just a couple inches. Scoop your tailbone. And like we did in those child's poses, lean your ribs over to the left side of the room. Try to breathe space into your left side. And like we did lying down on our side with the bolster. Witness air pressure increase into your left lung. Okay, come on back up. Reach your arms to the sky. Bring your 10 fingertips down onto the floor and frame your front foot. And then tuck your back toes and step your left foot forward. And as the foot lands, come halfway up. So bring your chest towards the front of the room. I like a big bend in the knees. And then fold back down over your legs. Keep your chin tucked. Start with your tailbone and slowly roll yourself up to stand. As you come upright, reach your arms up above you, so forward and up. Keep your arms above you, put a little bend in your knees, scoop your tailbone, and maybe take a nice strong exhale to feel the front ribs go down. Remember, the ribs aren't invited to the party. You're gonna turn your armpits away from each other, biceps spin forward, don't let your ribs move, and take the biggest circle back behind you, and as the arms go back there, turn your biceps down more and more and more and more. And this time you're going to bend your elbows and interlace your 10 fingers together. Pull your fists towards the floor. Lift your chest towards the sky. So let yourself back bend. Just go for it. Keep your hands laced and then fold down over your legs. Let your head hang towards the floor. Bend your knees a lot. Come halfway up and lift your left heel off the ground. So you put all the weight into your right foot And slowly step your left foot all the way to the back of your mat into a lunge. Let your back knee bend quite a bit. Unhinge your hands, reach your arms up towards the ceiling and come into a crescent lunge with your back knee bent, and then switch it right into a warrior two and take a wider stance. And then let your back knee bend a bit. Let your tummy turn to the front slightly. And then with that, with the back knee bent and your belly button turning forward, scoop your tailbone a little bit and feel that connection of your ribs. You don't want to be in a back bend here, so get your abs on. Then keep that and re-straighten your back leg. Flip your fingers up towards the ceiling so your palms are facing opposite direction, wrist extension, and reach your wrists in opposite direction like crazy. Elbows pull apart, shoulder heads pull apart. Find that nice big stretch in your chest. Then bob your head over to the left and feel the connection of your neck getting stretched and that stretch transferring all the way into your right pec and your right bicep. Arms couldn't be further apart. And then reverse it, so reach your right arm up into the air, just really as a transition. Take your right elbow onto your right thigh. Parsvakonasana. Reach your left arm forward, extended side angle. Power through your back foot, scoop your right butt cheek under, and from your back foot kind of being an anchor, could you reach your left arm further forward? Even pop your head off your shoulders a bunch. Okay, take your left hand down to the floor, spin onto your back toes, come into a plank, step your right foot back. You can use your knees or you don't have to, but go past Chaturanga Dandasana to the floor. Come into a low cobra, pull your heart forward and up, and then go back into an extended child's pose. Move through a tabletop, and then into a down dog. Okay, come on forward into a plank. Each time we do this, we're going to switch sides, and I'll cue it. Knees go right this time. Heels go left. Bend your knees. Press your hands forward and push yourself back into an accordion down dog. Side stretchy on the right side. And then pulse forward into a plank. Spin your knees to the left, toes to the left. Press yourself back into an accordion down dog. Stretching on the left side. Come forward into a plank. Bring your left knee into your chest and round your back a ton. Down dog split, lift your left leg up, and then step forward to your left thumb tip. Bring your back knee down. Droopy with the head, almost droopy with your arms. Roll yourself up. Arms go forward and up above your head. Grab your right wrist and side stretch over to the left. Let your head hang. Pull your wrists forward slightly. Lean your ribs to the right and feel that compacted contracting in your left abs. Breathe a few times and try to fill up the right side of your torso. So with your inhales, you should feel your right armpit area fill up, the chest on that side kind of fill up, and your ribs expand on the side. Okay, come on back up, reach your arms to the ceiling. Take your 10 fingertips down onto the floor. Tuck your back toes if they're not already. Step the back foot forward. As you land, you come halfway up. Fold down over your legs. Round yourself up segmentally as much as you can. Take your time. Reach your arms forward and up and keep your arms above your head. Let your knees bend, your tail tuck a little bit. Take a strong exhale. Feel your abs turn on, and you're going to try and keep that as you spin your inner upper arms forward, your armpits away from each other. Reach your arms back behind you and spin your arms more and more and more as you go back there. And then bend your elbows, interlace your fingers, and as you lift your heart up to give you more space, see if you can straighten your arms and pull your fists towards the floor. And then fold down over your legs and try to keep your hands laced. Don't force anything. Big bend to your knees, come halfway up. Put all the weight in your left foot. Lift your right heel and take a nice, smooth, controlled step back with your right foot. Let your arms go forward, back knees bent, arms above your head. Warrior two. Put a little bend in your back knee. It makes you more pliant. Turn your belly button forward. And then keep that and scoop your tail and feel your abs turn on from that space. Because even in Warrior two, we tend to back bend. Straighten your back leg. Reach your wrists apart, shoulders apart, elbows apart, and extend your wrists. And then press your palms in opposite directions as much as you can and tilt your right ear to your right shoulder. Get that stretch. Iyengar folks call it a nerve stretch, the arm line stretch. Keep your head bobbed, why not? Reverse your warrior. And then take your left elbow or forearm on your front thigh and sweep your right arm forward towards the front of the space. Press into your back foot. Scoop your left butt cheek underneath you. And as your right foot anchors down, you are reaching the arm, popping your head out of your shoulders. Let's take just one more inhale like this. And then take your hands down onto the floor as you exhale and spin your back heel off the floor. Plank, take your time, breathe in, try and match the movement with the breath. Pass chaturanga to the floor as you breathe out. Low cobra, fill up with an inhale. Extended child's pose as you exhale. Tabletop, breathe in. Down dog, breathe out. Plank, breathe in. Knees are going left, heels are going right. Bend your knees, accordion down dog, press back, exhale. Inhale, come forward, plank. Knees go right as you exhale, accordion down dog. Plank, breathe in. Pause and plank for a second so you can bring your right knee into your chest and breathe out. Down dog split. Take an inhalation. Lunge, exhalation. Back knee goes down, head's droopy. Round your way up, reach your arms above your head and breathe in. Grab your left wrist and side stretch over to your right as you breathe out. Round your back, let your head bob a little bit. Come back up. Inhale, arms go up. Fingertips to the floor. Exhale, tuck your back toes. Back foot steps forward, you come halfway up and breathe in. Full down and breathe out. Now you got one inhale to roll yourself up. Reach your arms up above your head. Just reach your arms all the way back behind you and interlace your fingers and breathe out. Don't worry about all the articulations. A big bend to your knees, back bend, pull your fists towards the floor. Inhale. And then fold down over your legs and exhale. Halfway up, big breath in. Left heel lifts. Left foot steps back as you breathe out. Arms go forward, breathe in, crescent. I like a bend in my back knee. Warrior two, breathe out. Again, forgetting all the fancy stuff. Reverse your warrior, breathe in. Elbow to the thigh, breathe out. Left arm goes forward, inhalation. And then bring your left hand down to the floor as you breathe out. Bring your back heel off the ground and reach your right arm up. So just breathe on your own. Turn your 10 toes to the right. And this could be enough. You could stay right there if you wanted to. If you want to come into side plank, do it. Stack your right foot on top of your left foot. And regardless of which pose you chose, put your tailbone down and push your left hand down very strongly into the ground. Flip your right palm up towards the ceiling, raise the roof, and reach the right arm as much as you can. And then let your head bob towards the floor. And in this kind of harder pose, if you are in the side plank, try and get that weird connection from your right neck to your right pec and arm. Then reach the arm forward wherever you are. Let's go into a plank. Wherever you are, go into a plank pose. And then we'll take a big breath in together. Go past Chaturanga Dandasana and breathe out. Low cobra, inhale. Extended child's pose, exhale. Tabletop, breathe in. Down dog, breathe out. Okay, last side. Plank, breathe in. Knees are going right this time. Accordion down dog, breathe out. Side stretchy on the right side. Kind of bounce forward into a plank and breathe in. Make it nice and fluid. Knees switch to the left as you breathe out. Accordion. Plank pose, breathe in. Left knee to chest, breathe out. Down dog split, in. Step forward, out. Back knee down. Head hangs the whole time until it doesn't. Reach your arms up into the air and breathe in. Catch your right wrist and side stretch over to your left as you breathe out. Round your back a little bit. Let your head hang. Back up. Reach up. Breathe in. Fingertips to the floor. Breathe out. Tuck your back toes. Right foot steps forward and you come halfway up on the breath in. Fold on the breath out. Round your way up and breathe in. Reach your arms above your head. Circle your arms back behind you. And exhale. Interlace your 10 fingers. Back bend. Bend to your knees. Chest goes up. Fold and breathe out. Halfway lift. Inhale. Right heel lifts. Step back. Exhale. Control it. Arms go forward. Breathe in. Little bend to your back knee. Crescent lunge. Arms go up. Warrior 2. Exhale. Reverse it. And breathe in. And then left elbow onto your thigh and breathe out. Circle your right arm forward and inhale. Place your right palm firmly onto the ground and exhale and spin onto your back toes. And then left arm up and either turn your 10 toes to the left and just hang loose there for a second, or step your left foot back onto your right foot. Give yourself a little tuck of the tail. Push the ground away from you with your right palm and press your left palm up towards the ceiling and reach your palm towards the sky like crazy, and then let your head hang towards the floor. And can you do it in a hard pose? It's tricky. And then reach the top arm forward wherever you are. Let's catch a plank pose together. Take your time. Once you find plank, take a breath in. Go past Chaturanga Dandasana and breathe out. Low cobra, inhalation, child's pose, exhalation. And let's just hang in child's pose for a second. So take your arms back behind you. Let your head hang. And breathe into your back. Take a breather. Okay, come on up to sit. And we're going to set the bolster up how we did at the beginning of class. So sideways onto your yoga mat, about 3/4 of the way forward. Doesn't really matter too much. And make sure your blocks are on either side of your yoga mat. And then you'll lie down and place your floating ribs on the bolster. Make sure your frontal hip points are on the ground. And then put the blocks on their highest height and make the shape of a Y with your arms and have the blocks kind of just outside your wrists. So the blocks are also shaped kind of like a Y. And then take your forehead onto the ground and you're going to place your left hand palm on the floor like you're going to do a push-up. So take your left hand back and put your palm on the ground. That elbow is going to stay bent. Put a little tuck of your tail. Soften your shoulders back a little bit. Make a fist out of your right hand and have your right thumb pointing up. And then really slowly and controlled, lift your right arm up into the air, up and over the block, and then down onto the floor again. And that's all you're going to do is go back and forth. So up slowly with control, over the block and down, and just barely making mine. Keep your right elbow super sharp. You're going to do several of these. Try really hard not to back bend. So if this is easy and you're just like super mobile, what you want to do is lift your left shoulder head up. And notice that kind of steers your chest to the left a bit. Allow that to happen. And don't lose that. Try really hard not to. And go up and over the block like that. And I bet you feel more along the back of your arm. Whew. So kind of this abduction shoulder flexion jam. Let's do it with the other arm. So Y your arms out. Just do the same thing. Your wrists are inside the blocks. Slide your right hand back so it's kind of in a push-up position. Make a strong fist out of your left hand with your thumb facing up. Little scoop of the tail. Keep your left elbow super sharp. There's no bend in it. You're going to go up, over the block, down, up, forward, over the block, and down. And just repeat. And again, to make this a little bit more gnarly, which I imagine is a little harder on your left side, I'm almost getting a cramp on the back of my shoulder. If you want it harder, if you just think you need a little bit more oomph, you lift your right shoulder head up, so the opposite one that's moving, and steer your chest a little bit over to the right, and that should make it harder. Not that harder's better, but you match what you need with the exercise. Try to stay out of your neck. Try to stay out of your shoulder shrugging muscles, which is tricky. Okay, we're going to do some cars. So I think we should, some swimmers they're called. I think we should take the blocks down one at least. Okay, I'm going to definitely do that. On it, the second highest height, I'm placing my blocks, and you just do you. So now we're going to superwoman the arms, both of them, not just one. So make fists out of your hands, thumbs face up. Take your forehead down onto the floor. We're just going to do two of these. Scoop your tailbone. Don't clench your butt cheeks. Sharpen your elbows. So when you really straighten your arms, I imagine they come off the ground, or at least the elbows do. Keep that the same. Hover both your arms, your fists off the ground, and turn your thumbs towards each other and down to the floor now. And reach your arms up and back behind you. And as you go back slowly, turn your thumbs towards each other even more, and maybe even up towards the ceiling. And as you get back there, pause. So now you're in shoulder extension. Try and squeeze the back of your fists closer together. Keep your arms super straight. Keep your arms squeezing together and try and get your arms even higher. Now just one more time. Squeeze the arms together more. Then reach them up higher as you squeeze them together. Then turn your thumbs down, out to the sides, and up. So external rotation, biceps up, armpits up. Reach your arms forward and try and keep your arms super high. So keep pulling your thumbs up towards the ceiling. Dodge those blocks if you can, and come down into Superwoman. Whew, I'm glad we're only doing two. One more time. Sharpen your elbows, straight arms. Lift your fists up towards each other. Turn your thumbs towards each other and down, and start to reach your arms up and back, and spin your thumbs towards each other, your biceps towards each other more as you go back into extension. Now, once you get back there, pause one more time, squeeze your arms together, keep squeezing them together, lift them higher, like you're trying to lift from your triceps. Then one more time, squeeze your arms closer together, and then up higher, and then externally rotate. So your thumbs go down, out, and up. And then you're going to take the biggest circle that you can. Arms trying to find the ceiling as you go forward. The biceps are turning up now. Dodge the blocks and bring your arms down. So freaking hard. Okay, let's turn around. Keep the bolster where it is. And just lie down on your back. And your bum's on the floor. Your shoulders are on the floor. But your torso, your spine, is being extended by the bolster. Widen your feet and let your arms just kind of hang off to the side. So feet are nice and wide. And then you're going to knock your knees over to the right and then over to the left. Over to the right and over to the left. And that's all you're going to do. Just do these little windshield wiper thingies. And it's just super nice, super sweet with the bolster. It allows for a bigger stretch in the abdominal region, the psoas, and even the hip flexors a little bit for me. Okay, next time your knees pass through the middle, just wiggle your feet back to your yoga mat and lift your butt up and slip that bolster, kind of wiggle it down onto your butt now, so your butt's on the bolster instead. And then figure 4 your outer right ankle onto your thigh, lift your left foot, and interlace your fingers on your left shin or hamstrings. And this is totally, to stretch the outer hip, of course, but it's also, especially with the bolster, it's just a nice way to put yourself into some flexion to pacify the low back. And the bolster also makes this pose way more accessible for people with tighter hips and less external rotation. You can close your eyes. You could close your eyes for the rest of class if you wanted to. And just start to maybe draw out a longer exhalation. It's relaxing for your nervous system. And just start to get into that vibe of chilling out more and down regulating more. No more hard stuff. Let's just switch legs. And take your outer left ankle onto your thigh. Interlace your fingers somewhere on your right leg. And just make it super chill. Barely gripping the leg. And just really hanging out in the pose. And then just bring both your knees into your chest to finish. Apanasana. And squeeze your thighs against your tummy. Maybe take some bigger inhales here and feel your back inflate with air. Like your back ribs are expanding against the floor underneath you. And just breathing like that is such a great thing for your nervous system. 360-degree breath. And then put your feet down onto the ground and just quickly lift your butt up and grab your own butt and physically tuck your butt underneath you. And keep your tailbone tucked, like keep the posterior tilt and re-land your bum onto the bolster. And then just stretch one leg to straight onto the floor and the other leg straight onto the floor. And allow this little baby passive hip extension to occur in your shavasana. Tuck your shoulders underneath you. Tuck your chin a little bit. And if this is at all uncomfortable for your low back, if you feel this in your low back at all, pretty please just slip that bolster underneath the back of your knees instead. You want your low back to be completely passive. And then close your eyes if they're not already. And get into your exhales. Make them longer than your breath in. Again, they relax your nervous system. They down-regulate your nervous system. That's a great way to breathe. And instead of giving yourself an amount of time here, really stay here for the time that you need to relax, to actually feel relaxed, to feel almost like you're going to fall asleep. And that's a really good metric for your shavasana, that you actually got relaxed. So pretty please, just for your own sake, for your own nervous system, stay here until you feel chilled out. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming to class, and I'll see you again soon.